What's going on, guys? ShadowNinja here, and today we have a build video for you guys, or we can just say multiple builds. This is going to be the first of its kind when it comes to me doing a video like this. The main goal here is to highlight one exotic and give you guys multiple different builds to use with that exotic, as well as some weapon recommendations. For the first two versions, specifically a stranded solar version for Precious Scars, I highly urge you guys to use at least the exotic for the solar weapon. The strand version, you can be a little bit flexible there. Just make sure you use strand. And then for the fun one, which is arc base, make sure you guys use an arc weapon as your primary, but more on that when we get to that. Another thing too is that in the dim link, we'll have 3 different links for you guys. One, each different subclass you can use with Precious Scars, or at least something we covered here. But as you guys can tell, this is going to be focused around the Precious Scars exotic. Once an ugly exotic that had no purpose. Now, I mean, it's still ugly, but it has a purpose. So with the main perk of Precious Scars, Kintsugi, final blows from weapons with a damage type matching your subclass energy create a burst of healing around you that grants allies restoration as well as yourself. After reviving or being revived, you gain an aurora that provides overshields to you and your nearby allies. Now, the reviving part is useful in a sense, but the main first part of that is very useful. Final blows from weapons with a damage type matching your subclass energy creates a burst of healing around you that grants allies restoration and your own, is incredibly powerful, even though it is a restoration of ×1. Unfortunately, it's not restoration ×2, but it's a great buff nonetheless, especially in a PvE activity. So for one, before we jump into the game, talking about the builds, if any of you guys in the solar version have a tip to getting, restoration ×2, be my guest. Maybe there's something I'm missing, not thinking of, that will give me restoration ×2. I don't think it's needed entirely, but restoration ×2 is better than restoration ×1. So making this solar version of this even better, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys do drop a comment if you guys have the answer to that. But yeah, like I mentioned, let's jump into the game and talk about the builds. So before we go anywhere, as usual, let's check out the drip. This is the main one you'll probably be seeing in the thumbnail. The shader is Bitter Pearl. That is, I think, the Vault of Glass Triumph one. Bitter Pearl. Vault of Glass Triumph one. If you guys haven't got it, you probably don't have it or do have it. It is a beautiful white and black shader. I love it. And I'm just so over Super Black, even though I don't have it unlocked and don't really want to have it unlocked, but that's a different story for a different time. So when it comes to the build, annotation here on screen for a more in-depth version of the subclass. We'll talk about some of the seasonal artifact, nothing too crazy, nothing really with the mods. I mean, we'll go bare bones, but mainly the mods will be talked about, not so much the subclass and things like that. But you may be wondering, what's up with the loadout? Strand auto rifle, the possibility of a Strand fusion rifle, Tessellation. This is a pre-order bonus for the final shape. It requires you to pre-order, I think, the annual version, so this is kind of a pay-to-win scenario, sorry, but it is incredible. And then Circular Logic and LMG, one of my favorites in the game, and really, really good, especially when a Tormentor shows up. I don't like having anything but an LMG at this point. Those Tormentors really has given me some serious PTSD. For our armor, we are running Precious Scars. We're using an Harmonic Siphon, so we have Strand Siphon, and then we have Asses to Assets and Hands-On. We're using a Grapple Grenade, and a melee, so that's why we're having those mods there. Now, when it comes to the arms, we have 1 Harmonic Loader, we have Impact Induction, and Heavy-Handed. Now, when it comes to the chest, we have Harmonic Reserves, 3 strand ones here, nothing too crazy. I don't really think we need, like, for example, charged up, increase the, extra thing. Our resilience is good, so we don't really need endurance, whatever it may be. When it comes to the legs, we have Invigoration, Elemental Charge for those tangles, and another Invigoration. And for our mark, we have Time Dilation ×2, or at least 2 versions of that. Overall, nothing too crazy. Like I mentioned, we're using the Grapple Grenade, Into the Fray, Banner of War, Thread of Continuity, Thread of Warding, Thread of Fury, and Thread of Generation. Everything here we go over in that other video, which is a little bit more in depth on that. But overall, the main goal here, when you're using this Banner of War with Precious Scars, that you want to have a Strand primary weapon. Could be a Strand primary exotic like Quicksilver Storm. It did get a nerf recently, but I still think it's viable in certain cases of just like damage, primary exotic, stuff like that. Rufus Fury, if you guys have it crafted or not crafted, is a solid auto rifle. And then maybe you can go double solar energy and power weapon. You can't really make the most of Flint Striker, which makes you radiant with rapid solar weapon kills or stuff like that, or kindling trigger for some of that other stuff, which is unfortunate. You could benefit though from unraveling orbs. You'll generate a lot of orbs, strand, unraveling rounds, so much of that everywhere. It's actually insane. Probably see a little bit in the gameplay, but yeah, this build is overall really good. It controls the area, especially in an onslaught setting, very well. Like, guys, the footage here you're seeing, this is dominating onslaught. Like, it is stupid what I was doing. I was laughing. I was actually laughing because Rufus Fury was insane. Unraveling rounds was insane. Getting restoration on top of the fact of being Banner of War. It was just kind of like survivability times 2. It's fun. It's insane. The only trade-off I would say is that in a Banner of War situation, what you traditionally want to do is you want to use Synthoceps or Worm God to enhance your damage potential with your melee abilities, or just melee as a whole, whether that's your super, whether that's your powered melee. There's some of that stuff that are probably is a little bit better, but if you guys are just for whatever reason want to have a little bit fun and just shoot everything and get restoration all the time, Precious Scars is a great exotic for that enhanced survivability. And Banner of War, it's on steroids, as you guys are seeing in the gameplay. Fun. Really encourage you guys to check it out. And if you do want to check out this Strand version of a Precious Scars build, a dim link will be in the description or in a pinned comment. Just make sure you click on the Strand link. So here is the solar drip. This is somewhat familiar to what you've probably seen in the video. Annotation here on screen for the solar version of this build. We go a little bit more in detail what we're going for there. The primary weapon of choice here is the same, I think, alongside the primary weapon or kinetic weapon, which is a Strand Waveframe Tusk of the Boar grenade launcher. And then we're using Apex Predator this week because of overcharged rocket launcher and onslaught. But overall, this is a great Precious Scars build. In my opinion, right now with how the artifact is going and how onslaught is going, this is a sleeper as one of the best builds for a Titan to absolutely decimate onslaught. You don't believe me? Look at this scoreboard. 1100 kills. Guys, I didn't think that was possible, but this build was doing that. Granted, we did have a third guy. That wasn't actually a third guy, but as you guys can tell, 1100 kills just doesn't come out of nowhere. Maybe that guy left because I wasn't sharing any. Who knows? But yes, that scoreboard is real. That is an insane number, and I hit it with this build. So, for one, we're not going to go into details again with the overarching subclass details, but we'll go with some of the loadouts. So the Waveframe, Tusk of the Boar, Envious Chain Reaction here, Solar, Strand Waveframe. We benefit from some of that unraveling stuff potentially. Overall, this is incredible without anything to it. A Waveframe in the kinetic slot is one of my favorite things. Chain Reaction, Envious, woof, just so good. More details in that video I said annotation to, but Sunshot is an incredible exotic primary weapon. It's gonna have a lot of benefits of just that exotic primary buff that it will have. Also, the explosions, the scorching on top of scorching. There's an insane amount of scorching here. Apex Predator, just the best goddamn rocket in the game. For mods, Precious Scars, we have Power Preservation for our super stuff, and Hands-On for our Bonk Hammer, and then Harmonic Siphon. Nothing with the grenade stuff because we are using Healing Grenade. You'll see that pretty soon. With the arms, we have Impact Induction, Focusing Strike, and Harmonic Loader. For our chests, Harmonic Reserves, because the chest is pretty bare bones and boring, and I don't really think an extra armor charge is worth it. For our legs, we have 2 solar weapon surges and invigoration, and then for our mark, 2 time dilations to just extend the decay going on there. But yeah, that's the mods for the armor. When it comes to the seasonal artifact, if you're using a rocket, you guys can take off, damaging unraveling targets occasionally spawns a threadling. You could take that off, put Argent Ordnance on for that rocket launcher, especially here we're using it. It is great. And then Flint Striker and Kindling Trigger are the bare bones minimum you're going to need to just get cracked out. And then Raise of Precision while Radiant Solar Precision blows cause combatants to ignite. Yeah, that's just overkill here. Make sure you guys have this checked off if you guys can afford it and feel comfortable using it for final blows. For our subclass, guys, the main one we'll talk about, Solar Invictus, of course, and then Roaring Flames. No reason to use Consecration at all. Healing Grenade because just helps with survivability if you do need it, and then Throwing Hammer because yeah, that's just an awesome throwing hammer. Hammer of Soul is our main super. I didn't really want to use Banner of War. Sorry. I kind of like Hammer of Soul a little bit better. But the main fragment, guys, Ember of Empyrean should be a must use. The main thing here is that solo weapon or final blows with your ability extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. Guys, you will have radiant and restoration during waves and never lose it. Never lose it. Then besides that, we have Ember of Eruption, Ember of Torches, and Ember of Searing or whatever it is. But yeah, Ember of Imperium, that is the main one you want. It is insane. So as you guys are looking in the gameplay, Jesus, this was destroying everything. It is stupid, actually. It's like, man, I forgot how much of a tank you can be without Banner of War and Solar and Precious Scars and Sunshot with that fragment I mentioned, and then the enhancements to your solar weapon that is pretty much built in with the artifact. It really is an artifact that is pro solar weapons this season. Yeah, this is ridiculous, and I know now why I dropped 1100 kills in Onslaught. It's just that good. It's ridiculous, and I love it. But overall, hopefully this gameplay is showing you guys the full potential of a build like this and a loadout like this with Precious Scars. It's stupid. It was making Onslaught the biggest walk in the park I've ever experienced. Now, the one thing I will say is a Tormentor with a rocket launcher always terrifies me, like I said in the Strand portion of this video. But yeah, this is a fun, incredible build. And if the gameplay didn't really get you going, well, hit that dim link. It's in the description and pinned comment. Make sure you hit the solar version of the link. Check it out for yourself, and I guarantee you will be blown away. All right, guys, so here is the fun build that I really wouldn't say I will take it into most cases in Onslaught. I was using this in multiple different versions. I did capture gameplay of the 10-wave version. I felt like it was just the easiest to show you there. Taking this into a regular 50-round Onslaught will definitely present a challenge, because I do think just the overarching elements of Arc for Titans is a little bit on the lacking side when it comes to survivability. Something I would want to see, but hey, we have Prismatics. Hopefully some elements of Arc gets brought into there, and you can enhance it with bringing in some solar stuff or some Strand stuff, which will be very nice. But yeah, overall, this is a fun build. This isn't a absolute meta build. So when it comes to our loadout, Tusk of the Boar is not leaving us. We are using the subjunctive SMG annotation here on this, because this is an SMG you guys should be trying to get this season. It has subsistence and volt shot, it is craftable, and the nano munitions origin trait is arguably one of the best passive origin traits in the game, and I love it. Now, for whatever reason you guys want to use an exotic primary here, you can use Trespasser. I was giving this a go. I know it's a 6,000 and I don't have the catalyst. Same thing with Centrifuge, I don't have the catalyst, but these two exotic primaries, Centrifuge and Trespasser, are honestly pretty damn good. I liked it a lot. I was having fun with Trespasser, I was having fun with Centrifuge. It was pretty solid and it was working out pretty good. But overall, I'm using Thunderlord here. I like my LMGs. I see a Tormentor show up, I want to have an LMG and mess them up. Thunderlord is great at doing that altogether. I don't care what anyone says, Thunderlord is a great boss DPS option. You can't change my mind otherwise. When it comes to the mods on our armor, we're using Power Preservation and Hands On Again and a Harmonic Siphon. For our arms, we have Impact Induction and Focusing Strike, as well as a Harmonic Loader. For our plates, or at least our chest, Harmonic Reserves. Again, I say this chest needs an uplift of some mods. Hopefully they add some stuff in Final Shape. Don't think they are, but here's for wishful thinking. And then for our legs, we have an Invigoration, an Innervation, and an Arc Weapon Surge. And then for our marks, you guessed it, 2 time dilation for our mark. Now, when it comes to our subclass, this is where things get a little bit different, because we haven't covered this in a while. We are using Thunderclap. We are using Pulse Grenade. For our aspects, we're using Knockout. So critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attacks with an arc energy and increases your melee range and damage for a short time. Yeah, this is pretty damn good, and I like it a lot better than Juggernaut for a PvE element to it. Now, Touch of Thunder enhances your grenades. So in this case, Pulse Grenades, which we are using, creates ionic traces periodically as it damages and targets and increases damage over time. Ionic Trace is basically pure energy from Arc that travels, and when picked up grants you ability energy. So this is going to help with getting a grenade, getting our melee, getting our shield, or at least our class ability Wall Shield, which is very nice. Fragments, Ember, Spark of Magnitude, your lingering arc grenades have an extended duration. This is nice. Spark of Feedback, taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage subtly. Very nice, and a PvE element as well. Spark of Shock, your arc grenades jolt targets. This is a big element of, arc and PvE is jolting. We also have Volt Shot to tag along with this, which is very nice. And then Spark of Discharge, arc weapon final blows has a chance to create an online trace. This is going to help with some of that regen factor of our class abilities. But overall, that's the subclass. Now in the gameplay, guys, this is fun. This is good. Just, yeah. It is unfortunate that Arc on a Titan is on the lacking side of the meta. Very much would rather go Void, Solar, or Strand right now, or even maybe a Stasis. Arc is certainly that forgotten subclass for the Titan class. And it's kind of why I wanted to focus this with Precious Scars, that Restoration, and maybe some of that Radiant if you choose for whatever reason have a solar weapon that is your special weapon, or maybe even your power weapon, whatever it may be. It's nice. It is nice having some sense of health regen, but besides being fun, I don't really encourage you guys to take this fun build anywhere else in content that starts to get challenging. If you want to mess around with this in the Vanguard playlist, be my guest. This is awesome there in the 10-wave version, or even maybe the 50-wave version, depending on how you are as a player. You can have fun with it there, but this is the Arc version, or at least these are the 3 different builds that you can use with Precious Scars. Now let's jump out the game. That was a lot of talking, and give you guys my closing thoughts. I'm actually really curious how long this video will be. Hopefully not too long, but overall, yeah, I'm definitely down to do more videos like this, focusing on exotic, giving you guys different builds to use with that exotic. This was a different experience. I hope you guys did enjoy just a different style of a build video. Friendly reminder again, there are 3 links down below for that specific build that you may be wanting. One for Strand, one for Solar, and one for Arc. The first 2, Strand and Solar, I like to mention this, they're very good in all forms of gameplay, or at least PvE activities. The Arc one, yeah, that's gonna need a little bit more, and I didn't mention it in the Arc section, but you can't really benefit from the seasonal artifact there unless you're using a rocket launcher, so yeah, that kind of sucks. But overall, if you guys enjoyed this video, found this video informative, be sure to drop this video a like, helps with the video a ton. Now for more content from me, definitely hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified when I do drop more content. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff in the works, but besides that, I'm gonna go drink some water. I did a lot of talking. Jesus, my mouth is parched. But yeah, hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.